Report here on this Friday morning. I'm Sean Kreisman.
And I'm Emma Reckenberg. Thanks for joining us. This will be President-elect Trump's first overseas trip since winning the election. And he shared his plans on Truth Social, saying it's an honor to announce I will be traveling to Paris, France on Saturday to attend the reopening of the magnificent and historic Notre Dame Cathedral, which has been fully restored after a devastating fire 5 years ago. President Emmanuel Macron has done a wonderful job ensuring that Notre Dame has been restored to its full level of glory. And even more so, it will be a very special day for all. Again, Newsmax will have complete coverage throughout the day and the weekend, so you'll want to stay tuned for that.
You so strong about protecting those aliens, but you won't do nothing for the U.S. citizens. We are the ones who pay your salaries. Salaries. Let me accentuate on that. But yet, you want to overlook us like we don't exist. Well, you're not going to exist for the next election because there's a 10-year prison sentence when you want to stand up here for those illegals.
Some strong words at a Chicago City Council meeting this week. Residents there blasting Mayor Brandon Johnson for spending millions of dollars on sheltering illegal migrants.
The mayor is saying the city will remain a sanctuary city, despite President-elect Donald Trump and his tapped border czar Tom Homan saying they will deport those who came across borders illegally, though they would need localities and leaders there to work with them to do so. Jonathan Jackson is a Democrat Illinois congressman representing a part of Chicago, joining us live here from Capitol Hill. Congressman, good to see you, and thanks for coming on. So, again, you heard the mayor of Chicago there really receiving criticism about how the illegal migrant crisis has been handled in the city of Chicago. You hear residents, constituents, maybe some you represent speaking out in that area. Where do you fall on this side of this concern?
Well, I had written a letter to the Department of Justice and also to Health and Human Services expressing my concern when this first started. People should not be moved across the state as used as simply as pawns. So I believe in enforcing federal law. There's a port of entry. There's a way that people should be in here. Persons that have committed crime should simply be sentenced, as well as those that have committed crimes should be returned back to their place of origin. I've been on the side of making sure that we have compassion, but also enforcing the law. Unfortunately, the rich do not feel the impact of this level of immigration. It doesn't impact their schools. They don't know who does their laundry. They don't know who cuts their grass. And they simply are now trying to create a war amongst the poor. These same facilities, schools that were closed in the city of Chicago, have been opened up to migrants. Now we know the resources that the city had at its disposal. There are many Illinois residents and Chicago residents that needed housing, that needed food assistance, and that was taken off their plate and put into persons that were non-citizens. So this has been used as a wedge issue to attack and make a war against the poor. I want to fight poverty, not fight poor people.
Yeah, but as you know, some of the migrants have chosen Chicago because of its sanctuary status as to why they would like to go there. And obviously, they're receiving the benefits because it's been signed off by the city and the mayor. Should Chicago remain a sanctuary city?
I think it should be taken to a vote, and the citizens of Chicago were denied the opportunity to recast their vote to determine if they want to remain a sanctuary city. This policy came in place during the time of Mayor Harold Washington. It was stopped from hitting to the floor of the city council. The citizens of Chicago have a right to determine if they want to be a sanctuary city. I would fully endorse the process of letting the city determine if they want to go forward with this policy. If not, and if they decide to rescind it, let's rescind it.
We'll move on to this. Earlier this week, President Joe Biden pardoning his son, Hunter Biden. Politico now reporting President Biden is looking into this preemptive pardons or blanket pardons for several like Liz Cheney, Dr. Anthony Fauci, former Congressman Adam Schiff, General Milley as well. This is picking up a lot of steam. It's being reported by the New York Times, Politico, and several others. Okay, so Hunter has been pardoned. We know that. But do you believe in these blanket pardons for maybe other those that have served on your side of the aisle as a political leader, receiving pardons, yet right now, they haven't been charged with any crimes. Does this set a dangerous precedent?
Well, you've got a person in the name of Kash Patel that is threatening vengeance amongst opponents. He wants to weaponize the Department of Justice. I am totally against that spirit of governance. Persons that have nonviolent offenses, that have served their time, I do believe in mercy. I do believe in grace. I do believe in restorative justice. So, yes, I would be on the side of that. I think that Martha Stewart should be up for a pardon. I think a lot of people should be up for a pardon that have served their time, that they should not be second-class citizens for life. They should have their full citizenship restored. And now if you look at the wave of what's happened with marijuana, marijuana has been legalized in so many states. And there are so many people that have served time for having marijuana convictions. I think those ought to simply be given pardons as well. So there should be tens and tens of thousands.
Right.
We shouldn't be talking about ceremonially talking about pardoning a turkey. There are people's lives that are in the balance that simply need to have their citizenship restored, and I am for that 100%.
Okay, but again, we're not talking about marijuana offenses for Adam Schiff. I mean, these are opponents of Donald Trump who've spoken out in the past, although not charged with anything. Do you think it would be a smart decision by President Biden to issue these preemptively, or could this backfire on future administrations doing similar things?
No, I think it would absolutely be a wise decision. And I also think that President Trump has decided to say that on his campaign rallies that for the men and women that came to the Capitol and killed officers that were sworn to protect and serve us, that serve us every day in the Capitol, he's promised them a pardon. He's calling them prisoners. We're talking about people that invaded and destroyed property on the federal government. We're talking about people that came in here in mob action and killed officers.
With all due respect, we're not talking about January 6th. I think we're just getting off topic here. Again, we're talking about again, people that have not committed any crimes. General Milley, Adam Schiff, or at least haven't been charged with crimes. Do you think it's an abuse of power by the president to issue a blanket pardon for them? January 6th is a separate conversation.
Well, it's a separate conversation to you. It is not a separate conversation. I do believe in the blanket pardon. Anytime you have a person that could potentially head the FBI saying he's going after persons, making them political enemies. We've not seen this spirit in government in my lifetime. This is going back to a very dark era of McCarthyism and other things. I thought we were beyond that. I want us to see us go forward, have some grace, and to say I'm specifically targeting people, no, I think the president should do what's necessary to immunize people against this sort of infection in the Justice Department.
All right. We'll wait and see what happens. Obviously, there's some time now before President Biden leaves office in January and Donald Trump returns to the Oval. Thank you very much, Congressman Jonathan Jackson, joining us this morning. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Well, meanwhile, more clues coming in this morning.